Almost every child has an imaginary friend, someone to talk to, someone to play with, someone only they can see. Most parents don't think much of it. It's just an imagination, right? But what happens when that friend starts saying things a child shouldn't know? What if they're not imagining anything at all? What if they're not alone? Welcome to Beyond the Darkness podcast. Imaginary friends. It's gonna be a good episode, Aaron.
Yes, it is, man.
So, this is a topic that we discussed before on Beyond the Darkness. I think we have one or two episodes where we get into, the topic of imaginary friends.
Yeah.
I think, as a kid, it's something very innocent, right?
Yeah.
We heard the stories, kids having imaginary friends. But the funny thing is a lot of us, we don't even remember if we ever had an imaginary friend. It kind of fades away as we grow older. And that's what they tell us. Like, I remember when I was a kid, my mom said that, I used to carry this Mickey Mouse around all the time. And I would talk to it at night. And that, I would have conversations with this Mickey Mouse. I don't remember nothing about it. But she says, I would say that was my friend.
Yeah.
I guess an imaginary friend that because she would say I would have conversations, like livid conversations. But it's a mystery how a lot of these cases, where kids talk to these imaginary friends, they tend to forget everything that happens. I don't know if it's for the good or for the bad. But I think in some of these stories, it's actually for the good. Because I think in some of these stories, the imaginary friends weren't trying to be friends at all.
Or they might not be so imaginary. We spoke about this before, of course. And maybe sometimes some of these things don't try to come at us in a very good way.
But as a kid, it's always that the innocence of saying, it's my friend. And a lot of parents, sometimes you go into some troubles or something where you say, my child is just trying to cope through a moment.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let him play with his imaginary friend.
It's just a phase, is what they say.
Yeah,
It's a small phase.
It's a phase. But tonight we have a couple stories of imaginary friends. And I think our listeners are probably gonna, start thinking twice.
Remembering about some old things.
They're gonna start thinking twice about, letting their kids have imaginary friends. So we're gonna start with this story. This is a story of James the pilot. There was a family that moved from Michigan to Louisiana.
Yeah.
It was the father and the mother, and they had a son, a 6-year-old son. And they moved because the father had, a new position at the place he was working. And they came to Louisiana, thinking, better job, better life. But when they get to this new house, one of the first things that the mom notices is that their child starts, talking to someone. Now, it starts, like we say, very innocent. The dad's away at work, and the son's outside playing with his toys. And the mom, she says she's in the kitchen, and she kind of overhears the child talking with someone. She looks out through the window. She notices that there's nobody there with her child. It's just him. So, she thought, it's his imaginary friend. I had one. We all have one. So it's okay. Maybe, the whole move, he left a couple of friends back in the neighborhood. He's trying to cope with the whole thing, the whole situation.
Yeah.
So that same day, the father arrives to their house, and she tells him, guess what our child did today? He has a new friend. And the father's like, oh, really? He met a boy in the neighborhood? And she's like, no, I think our child has an imaginary friend. So, they thought it was something very innocent. I mean, their child's talking to someone, playing with toys. So they took it upon themselves that, let's let them have fun with his imaginary friend. Let's let them play. Where every day their child was going outside with his friend, playing with his friend, till one day the mom asked him, so I see you're playing with a friend. Does your friend have a name? And the child tells her, yes, mom, his name is James. Okay, so is James a good boy or a bad boy? James is not a boy, mom. James is an older man. And, it caught the mom by surprise when he said, that the imaginary friend was a man. But James tells me, that I have to be very respectful with you guys. That I have to be very respectful with you, mom, with my dad. That I have to clean my room. That when I'm playing outside, I got to stay close to the house so nothing happens to me. He protects me a lot, Mom. So the mom says, well, this James guy seems like a good person. You should listen to him, and clean your room. So that at first it was something like I said, I think it was something innocent, and the mom didn't find like there was anything harmful about the whole imaginary friend. So she said, go ahead, have your imaginary friend. One night the mom wakes up because her son is screaming, and she goes to his room, and the kid's sitting in his bed just kind of crying, and the mom tells him, what's wrong? He tells him, I had a nightmare, Mom. I had a nightmare. I was in the plane. I was flying a plane, and someone was shooting at me in the plane. Someone was shooting at me, and I was super scared, Mom. I was so scared because they were shooting at me, and I was shooting back. But someone hit my plane, and I just saw fire. I saw fire all over the place, and I knew I was dead. I knew I was dead, Mom. And that's when I woke up scared. So the mom tells him, it was just a nightmare. You probably saw a movie, you probably saw something. And he's like, no, I haven't seen any bad movies or anything. And she's like, well, don't worry about it. It was just a nightmare. Yeah. Go back to sleep, and it's okay. So the next day, the mom, she's in the kitchen, she's cleaning, and she hears her boy talking outside through the window, but she hears that he's telling James the story of what he dreamt.
Yeah.
So she kind of like just keeps her ear on the window just to try and see what's going on, what he's saying. And he tells him the story of how he was dreaming. He was, fighting someone in this plane. But she also hears him say, really, James? And as he's gonna keep on talking, she calls the boy inside the house.
Yeah.
So when the boy comes inside, she tells him, what did James tell you? And he tells her mom, no, James told me that something similar like that happened to him. I don't know if it was a dream he was about to tell me, but when you called me, he left. What do you mean he left? Yeah, he left. He said he was leaving because when you call me or dad calls me, he doesn't think it's very respectful for me to be talking to him and be ignoring you guys. So he just left, and he told me to come inside and talk to you. Okay, well, that's nice of him. But what do you mean that your story happened to him too? Your dream? Yeah, Mom, he said that happened to him too. But I don't know if it was a dream of his or it happened. I don't know, Mom. So how does James look? The mom asks.
Yeah.
And the boy tells him, well, James is a man. He wears green pants and has a big jacket. Okay. And has he told you anything else, where he lives? No, Mom, that's it. Okay. So that same night, the boy wakes up again crying and screaming, and this time the mom and the dad show up to the room. The mom tells him, what happened? And he says, I had a nightmare, Mom. I had a bad nightmare, but it was about James. It wasn't about me. Well, what happened to James? He was flying the plane, Mom, but I can see what he was thinking, which was kind of weird. I can see what James was thinking, Mom. He was scared. He was scared something was going to happen to him, and he wasn't going to be able to go back to his family because James has a wife and a little boy. And he was so scared, but he had to fight people. And someone hit him in the plane, and the plane just exploded. And James fell and died. That was your dream? Yes, that was my dream, but it felt so real, Mom. Go back to sleep, It was just a nightmare. So then the mom's talking to the dad like, I wonder where he's getting, these ideas about, war. Or even how he's now putting his imaginary friend James into the story, into a nightmare.
Yeah.
And the husband, he's got a new job going on. So his mind is, kind of somewhere else. So he just tells her, like, you know what? Just let it play out. Like, if it's an imaginary friend, it usually happens where it just fades out. By tomorrow or next week, he might be, into something else, or he'll probably forget all of this. So the mom says, okay, whatever. So the next day, the mom hears him talking to James again. But this time, he's telling James, I saw you. I saw you die. I saw you die. I know you died on that plane. Yes, I saw you. And the mom's just standing by the door, seeing him talk to, this imaginary friend.
Yeah.
And he just stays quiet, like if, someone's talking to him. And the mom's just there, trying to see if like she can hear anything, because like at this point the mom's now freaking out. She's thinking like this is not an imaginary friend, this is like probably a ghost. And she's tripping out, like she's panicking. And then the boy just turns around and looks at his mom and tells her, "Mom, can you come into the room? James wants to tell you something." So the mom kind of like, just fucking gets scared, man.
She freaks out.
She freaks out. But she goes into the room and tells the little boy, "What does James want to tell me?" "He's telling me to tell you that everything's okay, Mom, not to be scared. That he's not trying to harm me or harm anyone. James passed away, Mom. James passed away. He was a pilot in the war, and he passed away years ago, Mom. James said he's now leaving, and he wanted to say bye to me today. Because James said that when I told him he had died, he didn't know he was dead. But James now knows that he's dead and he's moving on, Mom. But he's saying bye. He's saying for you to take care of me, and that for me to, always love you and Dad, because, I have both of you. And he wishes he can hug his kid again. But James is saying bye, Mom." And that was the last time they heard about James in that house. So the father, trying to see if they can find out who this James person is, right?
A little bit of research.
Yeah. So what they do is they kind of get, the kid to kind of describe James, how he looks, things like that.
Yeah.
Well, it comes out that they actually find out that there was a person called James Hudson Jr. that passed away in World War II, and he was a pilot.
That's pretty cool, man.
I mean, in this story, it doesn't have a bad ending. I don't think, it was a bad imaginary friend. And like I said, sometimes these imaginary friends, they might just be spirits.
Yeah, we never know who might actually be talking to our children when it comes to imaginary friends.
I mean, there's two different sides to the imaginary friends things. There's the science, and then there's the, paranormal, supernatural, or whatever you guys want to call it. Because on the scientific side, a lot of people say it's just normal childhood development. It's the creativity of a kid, the loneliness, or sometimes just, like I said, they're trying to cope with some, bad moments.
Yeah.
That's, the scientific side. But I mean, there's also the dark side, man. On the dark side, you have, shadow patterns across cultures. Kids seeing the same types of figures, which is something that I've heard before a lot. And they always go away as, we grow up. Why? Why do you honestly think imaginary friends leave as we grow up? Why do we stop seeing them?
That's actually quite interesting. Of course, as children, it says that they can see things that we can't see.
Yeah.
So what if that's what's happening in that point? You end up getting into an age where you can't see these things anymore. Like your mind gets caught with everything else going on in the world, to where it loses its innocence. And only during the time of innocence is when they can see these things around them.
I remember they used to say that when we're born with our third eye open.
Yeah.
And the third eye, a lot of people speak about this third eye being in the middle of our forehead, right? And they say that as we lose innocence, that third eye starts shutting down. I don't know if that might be something that's related to this. Because they say that a lot of kids, babies or, little kids, it's in the young ages when they see stuff. Like I remember my niece, for instance, we were in the house once and she started pointing at the wall. She was like 3 years old. But it was so weird because she was pointing. She wasn't saying anything. She was just pointing and laughing at the wall, at the corner of the wall.
Yeah.
And instantly, my mom, my grandma, myself, we all thought she's seeing something. I don't know what it was. It was just a feeling in the moment. Yeah. But we all kind of knew she's seeing something. But like you're saying, as we grow older or we lose that innocence, I don't know if that's why we stop, seeing these types of things. But every story I hear about, little kids having imaginary friends, it stops at a certain point. And it's, I don't know if it's like you say, when they, the innocence stop, or there's just an age where they just get to an age and they don't believe in that anymore. Or they start ignoring it because now they're more focused on something else.
So maybe sometimes, like I said, we don't realize who they're actually talking to. Because as you said, that was a spirit.
Yeah.
To my understanding,
Yeah.
it was a spirit of somebody who had passed, and it was communicating with his child.
A soldier. Well, he was a pilot for World War II.
Now you see that?
When I heard this story, it actually caught my attention because one of the first things I was thinking was, imaginary friends are spirits.
Really?
I don't see it of just. It's because what else can you explain an imaginary friend being? It's not like something that just appears out of nowhere and it's just there. If it appears out of nowhere, it's a ghost.
Yeah.
It's a spirit, right?
Yeah.
I think, and there's good spirits, there's bad spirits, there's bad entities out there. I think that when we say for kids imaginary friends, I think they're spirits.
Now, as we know as well, some spirits are good, some spirits are not. Which leads us to the next story, man. You see, right here, my story I came across was about this family. They had a pair of twins.
Okay.
It was two little boys.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the story didn't specify names. But these two little boys, one of them had a bit of an issue with his liver. He started getting sick out of nowhere. His skin started turning a bit yellowish. You know how when you get, liver disease?
Yeah.
They took him to the hospital, and unfortunately, that little boy passed away because of that. Now, his twin brother, though. After a few days, the twin brother started speaking to somebody in his room. And he kept telling his father and his mother, it's his little brother. Oh, he's here, Mom, he's here. I'm talking with him, I'm playing with him. So at first they think, you know what, but he's coping with what happened to his brother. He was with him all the time. They were always playing around. Maybe this is the way he's coping with him. The father never thought it was actually the little brother, but he played along with it. Sometimes we need to cope. Now the mother, she was very into spiritualism. She actually thought maybe the brother came back to be with his brother. So she thought they were together, playing around and everything. The little boy would always explain how he would always choose his favorite toys, and they would always fight for the toys, things that the brothers would do all the time. The mother one day heard the little boy discussing a little fight in the room. After that, her son had come up to them and told them that his brother is getting angry. He's really mad. So they think was what's going on, you have to be careful with what you're talking to, what's going on. And they asked him if he can draw the image of what he's seeing. So the little boy draws an image, and it seems like something, innocent. It could be the little brother. The thing is that the eyes were completely blacked out.
Oh
yeah, man.
Damn.
So the eyes were completely blacked out. And this boy kept telling his father that he's always getting mad at him. But his voice is changing. So it's not his little brother. Well, that's what the father believed. The little boy still believed it was his little brother, just getting upset. So one day, he comes crying to his mother and father, saying that his brother was so mad he hit him, and he felt the hit.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. The father checked the son, asked him where he got hit, and he saw a small mark on him, right on his neck. So the father started kind of, thinking what's going on for real.
Yeah.
The little boy started waking up at night, as well, not with nightmares. He was being woken up by his little brother, and he kept saying that he won't let him sleep, and he's getting mad because he's going to sleep, and he doesn't want him to sleep. So the father then starts asking the little boy, what other details does he see about this little brother? What's going on? The little boy then says that his brother has a big shadow, but that's the only detail he can give him. The brother has a big, long shadow behind him all the time, but he sees his little brother talking to him. So the father believes now, it might be something different. It might not be his little brother. But one day, while they're in the kitchen, his son comes running from the living room right to the kitchen and starts telling his mom and his dad that they have to leave because his brother is very mad, very, very mad. And he's telling him to harm the mother and the father.
Fuck.
He wants him to start harming them. So the dad asks, what do you mean he wants you to harm us? So he tells the father that he's been telling him every single night, waking him up, and that while they're sleeping, he wants the brother to go into the kitchen and grab one of the knives and go into their room and stab them.
Fuck.
So the father starts tripping out, like, what the hell? This isn't, what I would imagine.
Yeah.
The mother thinks that maybe the small brother has become a form of angry spirit.
Yeah.
But the little brother says no. The brother is getting taller and his voice is changing. So the father decides, we have to leave this apartment. We have to leave. Something else is in here that's, messing with our child. So one night, while they're sleeping, the father wakes up and her little boy is standing at the edge of the bed with a knife. And that's when they decide, we're out of this place. And they leave that apartment. Once they leave, the little boy stops seeing his brother. And all those things stopped happening. But isn't it interesting, man? How sometimes, like I said, we don't know if these spirits or imaginary friends might be good, might be bad. Now, I believe that this spirit might have taken advantage of their brother's grieving by portraying the smaller brother, just to try to do something to the parents.
That is something that we spoke about in the previous episode. When we had that story of the lady that was getting the call from her son that had passed away.
Yeah.
Where sometimes, these evil entities take advantage of your weakness because you're going through, a grieving process or you're at your lowest. Man, that's fucking crazy.
And then, now, tie that up with a lot of actual stories where kids actually harm their parents in these ways.
Yeah.
What if they're dealing with something like that as well?
I mean, if you go back, you can go to the Amityville horror thing. That happened. I mean, with the Amityville, it was supposed to be said that one of the kids, right, wakes up and he shoots all his family members because something was telling him to do it.
Yeah, with a shotgun.
With a shotgun, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in this story, they're lucky that they woke up and the kid was just standing there with the knife and wasn't, imagine if the father wouldn't have waken up.
Imagine how far it could have gone.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that they decided, to just leave before it gets worse.
A lot of stories end like this. And, a lot of those times we're always trying to look for a happy ending where, someone goes and helps them. But sometimes a lot of these families, the only option that they have is just pack their stuff and move. Luckily for them, they're living in an apartment, which is it's easier to, just go to another apartment. But I've heard stories, of people that get haunted so bad that they have to leave behind their house. A mortgage that they had for years because, a ghost or an evil spirit or even a demon pushed them away from their own property, from their own house.
Yeah.
It's crazy how an imaginary friend can do something like this.
Can have such an effect on these children.
Just like we say, sometimes it's something so innocent. It starts so innocent, but you don't really know who's that boy talking to. You don't know who your daughter's talking to. I think, you have to be more careful when your kids tell you, we have an imaginary friend. I think you really need to ask questions.
Get a bit more details on what's going on.
And don't confuse that innocence because it can come back and just
come and bite you at the very end.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, that one. Like you said, if he wouldn't have woken up, how far could it have gotten?
When I was in middle school, I had a friend named Gabriel that had a little sister. We were, 12, 13. And his sister was like 7 or 8 years old, which is funny because a lot of these stories, that's the age that these kids have. It's always like from 5 to 8 years old. But his sister was around, I want to say 7 years old, and she had an imaginary friend. And this guy, my friend, we were young. He would tell us that, his sister was always playing with her imaginary friend. And he told us that one day he woke up at night because it was like 2 a.m. And the sister's just talking away in her room with the imaginary friend. And the mom woke up as well. And the mom told her, like, hey, you have to go to sleep. Tell your friend to leave because you got to go to sleep. Thinking it was something so innocent.
Yeah.
Gabriel said that when the mom said that and she went back to sleep, he was falling asleep because he had his door open.
Yeah.
And he heard when his sister said, well, you have to leave because my mom said you have to leave. I have to go to sleep. He heard the voice of a child answer back and say, come on, let's just play for a little bit more. And he just fucking ran to his parents' room and told them. Obviously, the parents didn't believe him.
Man, that just gave me chills.
Yeah. The parents didn't believe him. And then he went into his sister's room and told her, I heard the voice telling you that they want to play more. And the sister was saying, yeah, but I told him I have to go to sleep. I have to go to sleep. Like she was like, I'm not lying. Like I told you guys, I have an imaginary friend. But Gabriel freaked out because he heard a voice telling her, his sister,
Yeah.
let's play for a little bit longer, you know. But I remember him telling me that in middle school, but they never made like a big deal about it. And then, time passed by, and that face just, I guess they grew older, and it was something that they never talked about. But I remember when he told me that story, it fucking creeped me out.
Oh yeah, it's weird.
He heard a voice. He heard a voice telling his sister, let's play a little bit longer. And it was a voice of a child. And that was something that was told to me when I was in middle school. A lot of times, we see things as kids, or hear things, and you tell your parents, and what do they tell you? You're hearing things.
They dismiss it automatically.
Yes, it's always a dismissal. Especially, when you're coming from Hispanic families, it's always like, whatever, just go to sleep.
Yeah.
But you really have to pay attention to what your kids are telling you, especially with imaginary friends, especially with this next story. Because this next story is a little bit more eerie. It's an imaginary friend, but it's how, crazy something can go from, a simple friend that comes along to play with you to an actual, demon haunting in your house. So this next story, we're going to call it the case of Emily. There was a family in Indiana, a mom, a dad, a child named Emily. When Emily was 11 years old, she passed away. The family had a car accident and they lost their only child. So 2 years later, the mom comes out pregnant again. They have a beautiful daughter again. Her name's Ashley. Years go by. Ashley turns 7 years old. And that's when the mom and the dad notice that Ashley has a new friend in the house. The mom and dad start noticing, she's starting to talk to someone in her room while she's playing with her toys. She's running outside telling, someone, come on, let's go outside, let's play. And at first, like any other story, it's just an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
Let's let her, play with her imaginary friend. So one day, the mom decides to ask Ashley, who's your imaginary friend? Is she a girl or is she a boy? And she says, no, mom, she's a girl. She's older than me, but she's a girl. Oh, really? How old is she? I think she's 11 or 12, mom. And the mom just stays quiet. Because in the back of her head, Emily was 11 years old when she passed away.
Yeah.
But she doesn't say anything, she doesn't even say anything to the husband. But she just, okay, and what's her name? Well, I don't know her name, mom. Well, you should ask her name, so you know her name. She talks to the dad that night and tells him, Ashley was telling me that her imaginary friend is actually a girl and that girl is 11 or 12 years old. And the dad just says, really? She's like, yeah. There's a feeling I have that maybe this imaginary friend might be Emily. And the dad right away tells her, don't even get that in your head.
Yeah.
Emily passed away. We already dealt with that. I don't think you should be putting that in your head right now. We're in a better place right now. We already moved on. Agreed. Yeah, Emily passed away. And the mom's like, I know, but can you just imagine if Emily's spirit was still here in the house and she got to meet her sister and now they're playing along? Like, wouldn't that be nice? And the dad's like, well, that would be nice, but that's not happening right now. Like, she just has an imaginary friend and, it's something that she's going to grow out of. Okay, we'll leave it at that. 2 days later, the little girl's playing in the backyard and she comes running inside because the mom calls her and she's telling her, Ashley, Dad's gonna get home. I need you to take a shower and we're gonna have dinner. She says, okay, mom. Mom, I was gonna ask you, my friend was asking me that she wants to play with my toys if I can leave some toys outside. I told her it was okay, but I wanted to ask you. So the mom says, yeah, you can leave a couple of toys outside for her to play. Okay, mom. So she goes out, and brings in her stuff, but she leaves outside a couple of toys. They're having dinner. They're talking, the dad's telling the mom, how the day was. And then the dad asks his daughter, Ashley, so how was your day, honey? I heard you were playing with your friend today. She's like, yeah, but she was a little bit sad. Why was she sad? Well, she asked me if I can leave some toys outside for her so she can play, which I did because mom allowed me to. But she says that there's a toy in this house that she really misses. It's a pink pony. And right there and then, the mom just looks at the dad and her eyes just become super watery. And the dad just tells Ashley, really? How does she know there's a pink pony in this house? Do you have a pink pony? She's like, no, I don't have a pink pony. I told her I don't have a pink pony. I don't have a pink pony. But she insisted that there's a pink pony that she really likes, that she wants to play with. That she actually misses this toy. Dinner continues. Okay, you can go to your room now. And the mom starts talking to the dad. Emily's favorite toy was a pink pony. And it's still in this house. It's actually in the attic.
Yeah.
There was a box in the attic where they kept everything that belonged to Emily. And in that box, there was a couple of her favorite toys. And one of those toys was a pink pony.
Yeah.
The dad tells the mom, maybe, you know what? She overheard us talking about Emily one day, or she overheard, us mentioning her toys. And she's like, we've never talked about Emily in front of her. We decided to let her know about Emily when she turned 15 years old.
Yeah.
Because she's too young for that. Emily is her imaginary friend. And we need to get that pink pony for her. And the dad kind of, just sits back and tells her, you know what? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to, go to the attic and get Emily stuff. What if it's not even Emily? What if it's, I don't know, something else? I don't know. I have a bad feeling, he says.
Yeah, the father was skeptical.
Yeah, he's like, I have a bad feeling. But the mom, at the moment, she's actually kind of happy because she's thinking, Emily's here, and I have Ashley, and I have both of my daughters. Like, the mom's just thinking happiness.
Yeah.
So that night, while everyone's asleep, the dad gets woken up by a noise. He hears a noise coming from the attic. And it sounds like someone's going to stuff in the attic. He wakes up, he gets out of the bed. Next to the bed in his nightstand, he had a flashlight. He takes the flashlight and he decides to go up to the attic. When he goes up to the attic, he notices that there's no one in the attic, but there's a box that reads Emily, and it's flipped upside down, and all the belongings in that box are all over the floor.
Oh, man.
And one of the things he notices is the pink pony is not there. So he goes downstairs, he walks into Ashley's room, but Ashley's asleep.
Yeah.
She's asleep. He kind of looks around her room, around her toys, but he can't find this pink pony. So he goes back to his room, he wakes up the mom and he tells her, hey, I just heard a noise in the attic. I went up there, Emily's box is upside down, like all her stuff is on the floor, and the pink pony's not there. And the mom tells her, what do you mean? Yes, I went upstairs. I went to the attic. Her stuff is on the floor and the pink pony's not there. Well, maybe Ashley went to look for it, and he's like, no, Ashley's asleep right now.
Yeah.
And the mom's like, are you sure? Maybe, it could be a coincidence. Maybe, the box fell over. What if tomorrow I'll look over it when you're at work. I'll go upstairs, I'll fix everything, and I'm pretty sure I can find the pink pony.
Yeah.
So the dad goes back to sleep. Next day, he wakes up, he goes to work. Mom wakes up, making breakfast, starts talking to Ashley and tells her, Ashley, did you go to the attic last night? And Ashley just stays quiet. And she's like, Ashley, please answer me. Did you go to the attic? Because, your father got scared because he heard a noise in the attic. And she replies, no, Mom, I didn't go to the attic. Why do you stay quiet? Because I don't want you to get mad at my friend, Mom. What do you mean you don't want me to get mad at your friend? Yes, Mom. My friend went upstairs last night and she told me she found the pink pony. And it's in my toys right now because she brought it down so we can play with it.
Oh, damn.
So you have the pink pony? Yes, Mom, it's in my room. You want to see it? Yes. So they go to her room, and sure enough, there's a bunch of toys on the floor and the pink pony's there. And she asked her again. She asked Ashley again, be honest with me, did you go get this toy? And she's like, I didn't get it, my friend got it, but she's afraid that you guys are going to get mad at her. And she doesn't want you guys to get mad at her. She just says she's feeling sad because she was alone for so many years. And now she has a chance to play with me, Mom, because she said that she liked this toy a lot. Mom, how does she know about this toy, Mom? I ask her, but she doesn't tell me. How does she know about this toy, Mom? The mom just stays quiet and tells her, I don't know. I don't know how that toy was up there. Maybe, it was an old toy that was just there at the attic. I don't know.
Yeah.
So when the father comes back from work, she tells him, this happened. The pink pony is in Ashley's room. But she swears that she didn't go upstairs. She's saying her friend went upstairs. And I'm telling you, I know it was Emily. She told me that her friend missed this toy, that she's been very lonely. I know it's Emily. I know it's Emily. I know this is Emily. She's the only one that knows about her toy. The husband, he doesn't feel this is right. He tells her, I have a very bad feeling. I don't think, it's Emily. I just have this feeling in my gut that something's off right now.
Yeah.
How is her toy downstairs? How is that box flipped over? How is all this happening? Especially after 7 years? Why now? Why now? And the mom says, I don't know, but it's happening. And I don't want my daughters to be separated. I want them to play together.
Yeah.
If this is the only thing we can do for our poor Emily, I want her to have, this time with her sister right now. Because maybe Emily, she's never going to get the chance to grow up, and Ashley will. And maybe she's going to be forgotten. But the dad's still feeling something eerie. So that night, when he's asleep, he gets woken up again. Not by a noise this time. He wakes up with the feeling that someone's watching him. And as he wakes up, there's a tall shadow in front of his bed. A shadow of a man. And as he turns around to turn on the lamp, from his nightstand.
Yeah.
And he turns back, the shadow's not there anymore. He gets out of the bed, gets out of the room, trying to see if he can see the shadow or see what it was, and he can't see anything. What he noticed is that Ashley's door is open, and he hears a noise coming from her room. As he's walking towards Ashley's room, he hears a noise, like something's moving in her room. Mind you, it's about 2:33 a.m. When he walks into Ashley's room, Ashley's asleep. When he looks at the floor, the little pony's moving like someone's playing with it. And then the pony just drops.
Damn.
And he freezes up. He goes running back to his room. He wakes up the wife and tells her what he saw. And the wife just tells him, it's Emily. It's Emily. It's our Emily. She's playing. Let her play. Let her play. And he tells her, that's not Emily. There was a shadow of a man in front of our bed. That's why I woke up. I woke up because I felt someone was watching me. And I saw a shadow of a man, not of a little girl.
Yeah.
It's not Emily. It's not Emily. But the wife keeps insisting it's Emily. She even tells him, go back to sleep. Just let it be. Go back to sleep. Ashley's okay. So, he listens to his wife. He goes to sleep. The next day, it's a Saturday. They wake up. They're having breakfast. Ashley's sitting with them. And he tells Ashley, what's your friend's name? And she just stays quiet. He's like, I want you to tell me your friend's name. And she stays quiet. And she's like, it's because I don't know. And he tells her, I know you know. I have a feeling that you know her name. What's her name? She's like, it's because she told me that if I tell you her name, Mom's going to get very sad and you're going to get mad. Why would I get mad? I'm not going to get mad. Tell me what's her name. No, she's actually afraid. She shouldn't be afraid. Yeah, she's afraid, Dad. She's afraid because she said last night she went into the room because she wanted to look at you and Mom. And you woke up and you saw her and you got super mad. And she ran away from the room and the only thing she could do was go to my room to feel safe. And she tried to play with her little pony and you walked into the room mad. And she got scared and she just left the toy and went into the closet because she was scared of you. And the mom's just there, hearing this story. So he just tells Ashley, you know what, Ashley, go to your room right now. I need to talk to your mom.
Yeah.
So Ashley leaves. And he starts talking to the mom and he tells her, that's not Emily. I know there was a man in our room. I know I saw a shadow of a man in our room. And the mom still tells him, why did you get mad at Emily? Why did you get mad at her? Look what Ashley's telling us. Emily's afraid of you. She shouldn't be afraid of you. You're her dad. The mom right now, man, she's living this fantasy that Emily's there with them. And I mean, who can blame her? It's her daughter. She feels it's her daughter.
Yeah.
And he tells her, you know what? That's not Emily. That's not Emily. I know that's not Emily. And as they're talking, he hears his, daughter, Ashley, talking on her room. So the mom's like, you know what? Let's go and let's just, go to the door and see what they're talking about. I want you to see there's nothing dangerous going on. She's having fun with her. So when they go to the room, sure enough, Ashley's playing with the little pony and telling her everything's going to be okay, that her parents are not fighting, that it's not her fault.
Yeah.
And the mom just looks at him like, you see, like now she thinks we're fighting. And they're just, observing their daughter. She's playing. But the mom notices something. The mom looks at a mirror that they had in the room. And in that mirror, she sees two reflections. Ashley's. And the other reflection that she sees something sitting next to her. And it doesn't look like a little girl. It looks kind of like a demon. In the moment, she panics, but she's afraid that if she says something, that demon is going to attack her daughter.
Yeah.
So what she does next is she tells her husband, get the keys. Get the keys to the car and start it. And the husband right away knows something's wrong.
Yeah.
She's like, get the keys, start the car. Ashley, we're going to the store real fast. She's like, really, mommy? It's because we're playing. We're going to the store. Tell your friend we're going to go to the store and we're going to buy candy. Ashley gets up, and as she's walking away, she turns back. Then she turns at the mom and tells her, my friend is saying that you're lying to me, mommy. My friend is saying that we're not coming back. Oh, we are coming back. And her voice is kind of breaking down because she knows that demon is on her. So she grabs Ashley and they get out of the house. They get on the car, and the husband, now he's panicking, like, what's going on? She's like, drive. They drive about 2 or 3 blocks. He stops the car and he's like, I need you to tell me what's going on. And she's like, we need to find a church. What's going on? We need to find a church. We need to go to a church right now. He's like, you're scaring me. Like, what's going on? She's like, you're right. It's not Emily. What did you see? She's like, it's a demon. I saw him through a mirror. It's a demon.
Damn.
So the next thing they do is they look for the closest church and they go to a church. When they arrive to this church, a priest is already outside, just, standing, looking at the sky, like just minding his business, right? They get off the vehicle. Ashley asks, what are we doing here, mommy? No, we're just gonna, come to church for a little bit. It's not gonna take that long. She says, why? I want to go back and play with my friend. And she's like, no, we're gonna stay here. Mom, but I really want to go back. She's alone. She's gonna be sad. And she's like, Ashley, what's her name? She's like, I can't tell you her name, Mom. You're gonna get mad. And she's like, I'm not gonna get mad, I promise. What's her name? And she looks at her mom and says, her name's Emily, Mom. Emily? Yeah. How does Emily look? She has glasses. She has short, dark hair. And the mom says, okay. Looks at the husband and she's like, that's not how Emily looks. So whatever this evil entity is in the house, it's portraying, an image of a little girl.
Yeah.
So now they get close to the priest, right? They tell him if they can have a word with him. And the priest, right away, he opens the door, lets them go into the church, and they start telling the priest what's going on. So the priest tells them, there's only 2 things we can do right now. I need one of the parents to stay here with your daughter, and the other parent, I need you to go with me to your house. Something that was kind of off was that the priest didn't ask a lot of questions. It was as if the priest was ready for this.
Yeah.
So they get on the car, the priest and the father. The mom stays with Ashley in the church. The dad and the priest, they go back to the house. As they're arriving to the house, the dad sees the shadow of a man in one of the windows again. And he tells the priest, right corner window, I just saw the shadow of a man. I just saw the shadow. It's that thing that I'm telling you. And the priest is like, don't worry, let's get down. So they get down, they open the door, and when the father's about to close the door, the priest tells him, don't close the door. Leave that door open. Is there another back door? Yes, there's a back door to the kitchen. We need to open that door, and we need to open all the windows. Whatever's in here, I'm going to say a prayer, but we need all the windows and doors open so we can get out of your house.
Yeah.
So they do that. They open the windows, they open the doors. As the priest starts saying the prayers, the father starts hearing a little girl talk to him. And it's the voice of Emily. And it's telling him, please, Dad, tell him to stop. He's hurting me. He's hurting me. And he's looking around, but he doesn't see the little girl. And then he turns to the priest and tells him, hey, I can hear my girl. I can hear my little girl that passed away. She's saying you're hurting her. And he's like, don't stop me. Don't listen to it. Let me do what I'm doing. And he keeps on praying. And now the girl is, getting more emotional, telling him, Dad, please, Dad, tell him to stop. He's hurting me. He's hurting me. It even causes the dad to kind of panic and tell the priest, hey, you're hurting her. She's saying you're hurting her. And he tells him one more time, don't listen to it. Don't listen to it. It's not your daughter. He continues to pray. He still hears the voice of the little girl saying, please, Dad, tell him to stop. Tell him to stop. Tell him to stop. The voice starts changing. And it sounds like an adult. So now the dad knows that whatever's talking is, it's not the daughter.
It's not Emily.
No, it's not Emily. So the priest, keeps on saying his prayers, and out of nowhere, as he's finishing up, they hear a loud bang in the house. One of the doors closes, and the priest just looks at the father and tells him, it's out. The demon's out. And the dad tells him, how do you know it's out? How do you know it's out? How do you know it's not here? And he says, because when you got to church, it was already with you in the car. When I got in that car with you, it was with us in the car. But I saw the shadow in the window. He's like, he was playing with you all along. He was in that car since you left the house. When you guys came to my church, something told me you guys were coming to me. I was waiting for you guys outside already. Something higher than, above us told me that I had to help you guys. I knew you guys were coming to me. When you guys got down from your vehicle, I saw him sitting in the back seat of your car. He was with us all along. When you were hearing that voice, it was him talking to your ear. I saw him.
Damn.
It was never your daughter. But don't worry. Whatever was here is gone. And sure enough, man, days went by, weeks went by. They never heard that voice again. And Ashley, just moved on. And she never remembered, she grew up and she never remembers that story. She never remembers she had that imaginary friend.
Man, dude. See, that sounds creepy. That's scary, man. Like, imagine being able to see the demon, the priest being able to see it. Because, of course, the father and the mother had no idea until the mother saw it in the mirror. You see, that's quite strange, man.
And that's what we say. When you don't know if these imaginary friends are good spirits or bad spirits, or they can just be a demon.
Yeah.
That's why I say, like, when your kids tell you, they have an imaginary friend, don't just take it lightly. Ask questions. Because you never know what they're playing with or who they're talking to.
What might be in your house.
Yeah. We just had a story where an imaginary friend made a kid get a knife from the kitchen and almost kill his parents.
Yeah.
I mean, the first story we talked about James, the pilot, that's a good story because, it was a good spirit.
Yeah, it's quite a nice story.
It never tried to, cause harm on the kid or never tried to do anything. And like I say, there's good spirits, there's bad spirits. But at the end of the day, all the spirits, they need to, go on their journey. They have to move on. And I feel like in that first story, when the kid says, James says he's leaving because he found out
that he died?
Yeah. That spirit didn't know he was dead. I think that's why he was appearing.
Yeah.
Once he found out, I think he moved on. I think that's what happened. He moved on.
No, yeah, because sometimes the people that pass away don't know they're actually dead. And it's come out in many movies where they don't know that they've passed.
Yeah, it happens a lot. But in this last story, man, I mean, it shows how, how easy and vulnerable someone that's going through a tragedy can get taken advantage of.
Oh, man, big time.
The mom thought that it was her daughter. She got mad at the father for thinking, you got mad at our daughter that passed away. Like, she was falling in this trap.
She was getting very emotional about it.
The demon had her and the daughter wrapped up. Can you imagine? What do you think was the whole outcome of this? I think the demon was trying to get the little girl.
No, I'm pretty sure he was trying to get her as well. See, because those things, I wouldn't know like how they work, but I'm pretty sure they try to take advantage, especially of memories, which is why they told her about the pink pony and everything.
Exactly.
Like it knew where it was hitting.
Exactly.
Come on. Some of these stories can just be quite out there, especially that demon one you just said right now. Man, bro, we don't know exactly how many times things like that have actually happened because most people don't really check up on it. Like I said in the second story, some people just move out. Because right now you have me thinking, what if in that second story, it was also a demon?
I think in your second story, I think it might have been something evil. I mean, it should have been something evil. It was trying to get the parents killed.
Yeah. And imagine, the little boy kept saying that his voice was changing and he was getting angrier and angrier.
And you see the similarities between the second and the third story? How it starts with something so innocent as a boy or a little girl, but the progress of the long shadow on the second story.
Yeah.
It had a long shadow behind it, so something big was there,
Yeah.
And the voice changing and all those things, like they had very similarities. They had similarities, both stories.
But the bad thing is that in that third story, it was playing with the chords, their emotional chords.
Oh, yes.
Because imagine even the father at the end started hearing the daughter's voice and started telling the priest, like, hey.
So that was my thing. The father, while all this was happening, he always had this eerie feeling. He always said it wasn't her. He always had this feeling. But he almost broke down at the end because the voice of his daughter came out. Can you imagine that? The voice of his deceased daughter telling him, please, Dad, tell him to stop. He's hurting me.
Can you imagine that?
He was falling for that. But then when you hear that the priest tells him, I saw the demon talking to your ear. Like, you can just see that image and it's like, fuck.
Just imagine that, man. How crazy it could have been. Imagine if he would have stopped him.
Yeah.
It could have gotten worse in the house.
It could have. I think all the family could have been gone.
And the worst part is that these things come for children the majority of the time.
I mean, it's always the kids that see the imaginary friends. Most people will tell you imaginary friends are harmless. Just part of being a kid. A phase. And maybe that's true. Because eventually they all go away. The voices stop, the conversations end. The exorcist at a table disappears. But think about it. If those friends were never real, why did they all leave at the same time? And if they were real, who were they talking to? Because maybe they didn't leave. Maybe we just stopped seeing them. And remember, not everything that's imaginary is harmless. I hope you guys like this episode. And I hope you guys can sleep tonight. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Beyond the Darkness podcast.
El más allá de la oscuridad.